He separates. He's to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Florida State. Warwick got on third down.
Winky, wants to throw the knockout punch to Warwick. Warwick open. Touchdown. He did a touchdown. He did catch it. Touchdown, Florida State. Oh, Peter Warwick, how'd you do that? Kermit Whitfield to the left side. A hole to the 30. Kermit Whitfield to the 30, to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, FSU. Kermit Whitfield, a 100-yard touchdown. Here's the snap. Winston rolling right. Throws the pass on the other. It's caught. It's caught. It's caught. Oh, for the end zone battle. Coleman. Touchdown.
We're doing it for everybody. We're doing it big all over the country, all over the world. And I'm proud. I'm proud to say I'm a Florida State Seminole.
Garnet and Old live. Welcome. Live from Jacksonville, Florida, Fishweir Brewing Company. My name is Ryan. Alongside my co-host Vince.
Here we are. We're a little late getting started today. It's the first time broadcasting here, so there's some hiccups, Ryan.
Bring something in real quick. Look at that. We got the bar filling up with a bunch of Florida State fans. Really exciting times. Let's get up a little bit better view there. So as people stream in, man, it's gonna be an exciting day. We got
look at that vat, the fermenter.
Oh wow,
that's pretty good, right? And then we've got a good view here of the game. I need to tighten this camera down a little bit. There we go.
And if anyone listening at home, watching live, if you could comment and let us know, audio, video, everything sounding good. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and get started with our pregame show. Really excited for everyone to be here. This bar is already filling up, and it's 11-something in the morning. So dedicated fans here for the 12 p.m. Kick against Boston College. The weather, Vince, looks a little sloppy, but not too bad.
Not sloppy here. Was that game we're watching up here? Oh, that's
College game day.
Yeah. The weather up in Boston, everybody was worried about it. I'm not too worried about it anymore. I'm thinking we're going to get about maybe 15-mile-an-hour winds. A little soupy maybe at the beginning of the game. But other than that, I'm not really worried about it.
Hey, listen, I'm not worried about anything right now because this is awesome. Right now, live again from Fishweir Brewing Company in Jacksonville, Florida. We're already starting to have people show up, and come noon, man, this place is going to be packed. So come hang out with us at Fishweir Brewing Company in Jacksonville. Vince, Boston College game.
With this camera here, man. Good, keep going.
Yeah, Boston College. I'm kind of feeling a little bit better today than I was, say, yesterday or the day before, just because we just didn't know what the weather was going to look like. And I looked on the radar, and it's the lightest of light green. There's no thunderstorms really rolling in, and the wind is like 11 miles an hour. So I think we're going to be good.
Yeah, when we talked about it earlier this week, we talked about if that storm started to track a little bit to the west, it would be a big problem.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It had no problem going east. And the states that are a little further in the northeast are going to get a little bit more. But, I think the game's going to be fine.
Absolutely, Vince. And what happened to our camera to the left here, facing everyone?
Oh, yeah. Well, we can just
switch
change
it over.
Right there.
There we go. Man, listen, we got basically a portable ESPN truck here. We got everything. Vince is the master. I give him all the credit for bringing all the equipment and getting everything ready. We have a pretty good setup here, Vince.
We do, and like I said, if there's a little bit of echo, we're still working out the bugs here, but please let us know. We do have a professional setup here, though, Ryan.
Yeah, it's really exciting, really exciting. And Vince, before we get in too quickly to the Boston College and the in-depth game coverage on how we feel like the game is going to go today, we're 2-0. How are you feeling so far, just kicking off the season for the first time in September in a long time, being just kind of undefeated and feeling good that we're number 3 in the country?
Yeah, it's not even just we're 2-0, is that we look good. Back in the old days, we might have a couple games at the beginning of the season that were, let's just say the teams weren't great. And so you would be 2-0, and you would think you would have a good team, but you're not really sure. We're pretty sure we got a pretty good team, and that's going to continue today. The team is going to win this game. I'm not worried about it, Ryan.
Not worried at all. I do want to talk real quick about Boston College from last week. Playing Holy Cross didn't look good, Vince. Didn't look good at all. So, Vince, I actually have some stuff I kind of want to show our audience, and I'll walk through. Those of you who listen to the podcast version, I'll kind of walk you through what we're seeing here, Vince. But if you bring your attention to your screen, Vince, I just want you to check out some of these plays. The first play of the game last week, a little fumble action from Boston College right off the bat. And then look at all the time in the world that this quarterback has to just do whatever he wants. And it looks like the Boston College players are kind of in slow motion. And as we go through this little reel, you're going to notice one thing. Not a whole lot of push by the defensive line for Boston College. And this looks like a poor man's Jordan Travis at Holy Cross, and he's still picking up bulk yards and 15 to 20 yards at a time.
He's almost got him there, but not really. And then, the slowness takes effect. So, there's a lot of – hey, the athletes are not on that team. And if you're running around, if you're trailing on a Holy Cross quarterback and you're not making up ground on that, that's going to be bad news for you today.
Yeah, and you can see Jordan Travis doing exactly what we see this quarterback doing against Boston College, and just making them look silly in space. There wasn't a lot of good tackling, and the final play here, Vince. Watch how much time he has. Just
He's pumping up the crowd,
and then boom, you can see Keon Coleman making that kind of catch all day. So I think talent for talent. This is the last play. I mean, just making them look silly here, Vince. Do you think Jordan Travis is better than this quarterback at Holy Cross?
I mean, it's going to be close, right?
Yeah.
But look, Boston College pulled this game out.
They sure did.
You can look at it and say they look terrible, they're slow, and they don't have a lot to bring to the table. And you would be right about that. But they did win the game. So, hey, as the old coaches used to say, those guys are on scholarship too.
You can only play the schedule that's in front of you, right? And for Boston College, that was Holy Cross. So
that was
Vince,
Holy Cross.
How are you feeling about the defense going into this game? We've seen them for 2 straight games. One was an actual real game last week. Let's be honest, like Southern Miss is okay, but the defense has actually, in my opinion, looked better than expected this year.
No, the defense is definitely better this year, and that is mainly because of the depth on the defensive line. And then we actually have a defensive secondary.
Let me help you out here. There you go.
We actually have a defensive secondary.
There we go. A little less noise from Vince's mic. Vince's mic was a little close to his face. I do want to say thank you to Jeffrey Day here saying, Vince, bring your mic farther away from your mouth. What are we doing? So
I feel like I was chewing on the microphone there. What was I saying? Oh, defensive secondary that know how to pass guys off, right? They know how to do the right technique, and be in phase. And if they're not in phase, bring the arms up and through. I mean, again, the only thing that's really been a problem and could be a problem is the depth in the linebacking core.
Absolutely. One thing, the biggest differences I see from last year and previous years to this year is linebackers and corners are actually triggering downhill. When they see someone actually making a play, they trigger down here. Last year was a whole lot of off coverage and just letting players fall into them in the tackle. This year, we're going up and we're making the tackle. We're making the play on defense. And that's just a far cry from the last couple of years where honestly, it felt like our defense was kind of soft.
Yeah, they used to catch tackles.
Yeah.
They would happen into a tackle.
Yeah.
And they didn't happen to enough of them, actually. But, yeah, it's well coordinated. I mean, that's really the word we're going to say. It's well coordinated from front to back. And that gives me hope. I mean, we've always had the athletes, even when the team wasn't great. The athletes were always there. But it was not coordinated well, and it's like the fundamentals of the positions weren't taught in a way that they could coordinate.
And you have to imagine Patrick Surtain making a big difference in that realm, right? Is a coaching upgrade. I think has helped a ton on the field to actually help our corners play the ball. And now, we used to laugh, Vince, you and I, a couple years ago, where our players would be in zone coverage, but they would just kind of hang out in the zone and hope that someone falls into their lap. When you're playing zone, you're in an area that you're supposed to cover, but you're also supposed to use your eyes and react to things happening. And I think Patrick Surtain has really installed that in this defense to allow players to actually make plays on the ball, on the players, and not just hanging out in the zone.
Is it Surtain or Surtain?
Whatever you want.
I'll say Surtain. But being in the zone, sometimes the guys didn't even know it was their zone. Is this my zone or not?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of passing off.
There was a whole lot of looking around.
Yeah.
And at each other with the arms up in the air.
Yeah,
not anymore.
Or the turnover backpack. You remember that, Vince? You remember the turnover backpack?
I think I brought one with me just in case.
Absolutely. Now, switching over to the offensive side of the ball, it's exactly what we expected through 2 games. Jordan Travis is playing at an elite level. Even the last week when he where it appeared the offense struggled in the first and second quarter, that had a lot more to do, Vince, with the receivers dropping the 50-50 balls and not anything that Jordan Travis was doing wrong. So wouldn't you say through 2 games, exactly what we expected? Maybe a little light on the running game, not being quite at the level I had hoped it had been, but I think the receiving game has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I think as far as the running game's concerned, they're still kind of gelling there. We have better players this year, and we have a larger depth this year. But what we don't have yet is enough time together with that group. I think you're going to see the running game pick up probably today quite a bit. And the other thing I was going to say about the running game, and I know you were wanting to talk about the receiving core, but the other thing about the running game is that everybody knows, we've been hearing about it all year, about how Florida State counter is the bread and butter. Do you not think that all of the other teams that play us know that? So
yeah,
they're all scheming more to counter the counter. So you'll see that get better. As far as the receiving core is concerned, we have guys that can go up and high point the ball and bring it down.
Yeah, last week they just didn't. And to Southern Miss's credit, if you watch that game, those corners and those safeties were in really, really great position with hands in the face, kind of breaking up those passes. So it wasn't like we were just dropping wide open passes, but it really comes down to we have the players now, the talent level, the depth at wide receiver to make those plays. I'm really interested to see if now that our offensive line, Vince, has improved to such a level that we could have never even have hoped for just 2 years ago, that maybe we stop going purely to the counter and doing a lot more power running, a lot more intentional running and getting that push up front. And you would hope against a team like Boston College they could do that. Yeah,
you're definitely going to see it. I don't have any, again, we keep talking about over and over. I'm not worried about that. This game today is I want to call it a scrimmage, but it's really get ahead, get the young guys in, and continue to work on the things that are going to be really necessary next week.
Is it though? I'm not gonna. I don't want to curse us or anything like that going.
But that's what you always do.
But I'm just gonna say that I think Clemson's better than Boston College, of course. Talent level across the board. I mean, they have blue chippers at every level on their offensive defense. Are they better than LSU? I don't think so.
No, they're not better than LSU. They're not.
If we put up a score on LSU. We destroyed LSU. And if that happens next week, man, Vince, we're going to be heading into a bye week, 4-0. Maybe I think if we do handle business against Clemson next week, maybe we get to 2 in the country. Even if we're at 3, looking at the rest of that schedule, Vince, it sets up very nicely for Florida State.
From the very beginning, injuries aside, everything is on the table. Everything. Jordan has progressed to a point where you have to consider every part of his game. Throwing, running, he's smart. He can read defenses. He can get to his 3rd, 4th read. And if those aren't there, his wheels are going to get him where he need to go. The running game, stacked. Receiving core, we have guys that are taller than 5'8".
Thank God.
And that's important. And on the defensive side, just guys that can rush the passer. Remember a few years ago when we didn't have that? We've got that in spades. We get to 4-0. Again, we're looking ahead. We're allowed to do that. We get to 4-0. We got the bye week. If there is anybody that's hurt, not feeling well, under the weather. They have a chance to get right. And then it's,
It's go time.
wheels on the ground, screeching. Let's get this thing done. The sky's the limit.
Ironically, now looking at the schedule, now that we have a little bit of context, what's interesting is coming into the year, we were worried about LSU and Clemson, right? Those were the two big games that we kind of circled on our calendar as big games. Looking forward from after this Boston College game, I do think Clemson will play up to us. I think they're going to come ready to play and make that a closer game than the LSU game. I do believe that. But it's interesting how things have changed because my two biggest worries going forward on the schedule are a competitive-looking Duke team. Duke is looking much better, right? Duke, I mean, hey, listen, Duke beat Clemson. Duke has looked good every single week. And probably the other team that is looking better is Miami. Miami beat Texas A&M last week, put up a lot of points. I mean, Vince, you and I talked in the preseason about Miami, Texas A&M. In no way did we think that game would be a score fest. And instead, they put up 40-something points.
And gave up quite a bit as well against an offense that is not great. But those are the two teams, right? Duke is not going to beat themselves.
Yeah.
And they play solid defense. And with that quarterback, they can score a little bit. That game is at home, homecoming. So that should probably go our way. The Miami game is also at home.
Yeah. We're not going to be at that game, but we're going to do live coverage, pre and mid game and post game for that big rivalry game. I guess my point is Miami is playing better than I anticipated this year, whereas Florida. Vince, do you agree with me? Fully expect Tennessee to hammer Florida today?
Yeah, Florida is going to beg for mercy today, I believe. I know Tennessee hasn't looked great, but they are levels ahead of Florida. I would be shocked if Florida won that game.
So getting into almost kickoff time, and we're going to log off before kickoff at noon. But Vince, give me your prediction. How do you think this goes? What do you think the key to the victory is, which I'm assuming you're picking a W? And give me your score prediction.
I mean, the beginning of the game, I expect them to start a little faster than they have been. I expect the running game to be better. And I believe that late in the first half, you'll start seeing some massive subbing. And then in the second half, you're going to see mostly backups. And I gave my score in our show this week, 52-10.
Absolutely. I think we had pretty similar score again. I think the key to this game, honestly, it's just letting your talent win. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. We out-talent Boston College on every single level. There should be no reason that we don't have plenty of time in the pocket based on that Holy Cross game for Jordan to just run around. So you just assume just by us having the dudes, the Jimmies and Joes, as they would say, that we can overpower and outman Boston College, especially in the depth department. My score events was 55-7, I believe, on the Garnet and Old show on Thursdays. By the way, for those listening at home, the Garnet and Old show every single Thursday, live streaming on YouTube at 7 p.m. So if you're not already subscribe to the channel, Garnet and Old. We also do two independent shows, Vince, the V Drive and Off the Cuff with me.
Mm-hmm.
So we have about between 4 and 6 shows a week. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And Vince, I do want to say before we let everyone go, Fishweir Brewing Company, thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. The owners here, diehard Knowles, and living in Northeast Florida, it's mostly a Gator town, which is tragic in a lot of ways, but not here at this establishment. Everywhere you look, it's Garnet and Gold, and they have some brews here that are tailored toward the Florida State faithful. But we are happy to be here. If you are in the Jacksonville area, come on by here. The crowd is starting to pull in here, and they have a nice backyard area. There's going to be some Marching Chiefs alumni here to play some War Chant live and proud. And let's just get this game going, man. We've been talking about it enough.
And before we sign off, again, we're going to come back live halftime and post game. So, stay engaged on YouTube. Like, subscribe again, and you'll be able to see our reaction at halftime. Hopefully the game's already in hand and we can have a good time. And then post-game, we're going to celebrate. I mean, that's my plan, and I'm planning on having a drink here in a second. But, Vince, thanks for doing this, man. It's been fun.
It's been great. We'll see everybody at halftime. It won't be a scheduled thing. We'll just go live. So if you want to go to YouTube and subscribe, you can hit the notify me, and you will know when we're live.
Garnet and Old, no inside info, no contacts, no problem. Game day live Boston College and Florida State coming at you next. Go Noles.
Go Noles.